If you've ever experienced a runtime error in VBA, you know that VBA just temporarily stops your code from running, and it gives you a little yellow arrow and it highlights the line of code that's causing that error. So that's VBA's way of helping you out a little bit with your debugging process. You can also manually set your own breakpoints in the code. So when you run the code and it reaches that breakpoint, VBA is going to switch to break mode automatically. Now there's a couple of different ways to set breakpoints in your code, and probably the fastest way is to just go to the line of code that you want to set the breakpoint at. You just click inside that line, and then you use your indicator bar here, this gray bar on the left-hand side, and just give a click. And that is a breakpoint. It's a little maroon circle, and then your code there is highlighted in maroon. And this just toggles on and off. So I can click on it to turn it off, click on it again to turn it on. Now if I were to run my code, the code would actually stop running at this point. And I'm going to show you how that works with debugging in the next couple of lectures. Now, other ways to set your breakpoint is to go up to Debug at the top of your screen and click on Toggle Breakpoint. Or what you can do is bring up the Debug toolbar. Mine's not open right now, so I'll right mouse click on the top and go to Debug, and then click on the little hand. And that will also set your breakpoint. Alright, so in the next couple of lectures, we'll be using this file. It's called Debugging, and it's in the Resources section for this lecture. And there's an issue with this code. I'm going to show you a couple of things as far as debugging goes to help you try to fix it. But first, let's go ahead and take a look to see what the code is doing. So I'll switch over to Excel, and it's the Calculate bonus that's not running correctly when I go ahead and click on that button. For the most part, it looks okay. And if you remember this exercise from previous lectures, what we're doing is we're giving a 10% bonus to people who make over $10,000 and a 7% bonus to people who make $7,000 or more. Anyone who makes less than $7,000 is going to get a 3% bonus. So my 10% and my 3% seem to be working just fine, but it's that 7% that's a little bit off. So notice that they're not getting 7%, they're actually just getting 7 cents. And since everything else is working fine, this is going to be a logic error. Alright, let me switch back to Visual Basic, and then I'll set my breakpoint, and then I'll start to debug this. So I am going to start my breakpoint at the beginning of the if statement, because that's where my calculations start, and it's the calculations that are causing some type of error. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and run my code. I hit the function 5 key on the keyboard, and when I did, my code stopped right where I put that breakpoint. So where my code's at now is where I have the yellow arrow and the yellow background color. And one of the cool things about being in break mode is that if you roll your mouse over the different variables or even expressions, you'll be able to see what the value is for those variables. So I can see right now where I'm at in the code, my commission equals 10,308. If I go down one more line, you see bonus right now is nothing because we actually haven't gotten to that line of code yet where it calculates the bonus. But I can see my commission is set right now throughout because I've already told VBA what my commission should be. So just keep that in mind. You can roll your mouse over your variables or your expressions to see what the value is at this point of time in your code. Okay, so now that I've set a manual break and I'm in break mode, let me next go over with you the watch window.